I am so excited today to have the opportunity to talk with the lovely Lian Dolan. Lian is a best-selling author and also an award-winning podcaster. I had the opportunity to read an advance copy of her latest book, Abigail and Alexis Saved the Wedding, a couple weeks ago. It was such a fun read. I flew through it in probably 3 days. So I'm really, really excited to pick Lian's brain today about the book, writing, and all things weddings. So welcome, Lian. Thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you,
the time.
saraann. I'm so excited to be here. I
Yeah.
love when people say I flew through the book.
Yes, I really did.
It's a good sign, I think.
It was like a very, it really made me laugh, which I feel like is sometimes hard to do in books. But I've read two of your books now, and both of them, you have like a way of writing that like really makes me just like giggle while I'm reading it.
Good. Yeah, I mean, that's super intentional. When I first started writing fiction, it was well into my career. I was 45 when I wrote my first novel, but I had a career on the radio and I was a magazine columnist, but humor was always at the base of it. So when I wrote my first novel, I thought, I think there's actually a niche here in women's fiction for books that are really LOL, laugh out loud funny, like a couple of great lines every chapter that you remember. And so that's always been my intention, is to write a book that makes you think a little bit, that you enjoy, but also makes you laugh.
Yeah. So for anyone who has not read Abigail and Alexis Save the Wedding, which, by the way, this cover, beautiful. Love
It's
it.
fantastic, isn't it? I couldn't love it more. I mean, it's now my whole design ethos, really. Basically, cake and blue and lemon. That's it. That's what I'll be wearing.
It's a good design aesthetic to keep with. So for anyone who's not read it, Abigail and Alexa Save the Wedding, it focuses on two very different women. Alexa, who's the mother of the bride. She's a Greek-born single mother, boss babe kind of, and she's living in Montecito, California. And then Abigail, who is the mother of the groom. She's like a classic Connecticut wasp, I guess, for lack of a better term. And when their children, Penelope and Chase, announce their engagement, Abigail and Alexa are both hesitant in kind of different ways about the imminent wedding. Both have opinions on kind of like what the wedding should look like, and Alexa's opinion like whether or not it should even happen. But because of a change of circumstances, they're kind of forced to come together despite their vastly different backgrounds and plan the wedding for Penny and Chase. So like I said, I read this book a couple weeks ago and flew through it. I really liked the change of perspective. I feel like a lot of books about weddings are from a bridesmaid's perspective or a bride perspective, and I thought it was a really fun change being from the mother of the groom and the mother of the bride.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that was super intentional. I mean, at some point, saraann, you forget as a writer, what is it like to be 27? I don't know. So when I thought about writing a book about a wedding, I thought I'd like to write about women my own age. I am now 60, and women around me, all the moms I know, their kids are getting married. Not mine, saraann, but other women. And so I would be sitting at lunch or looking at Facebook or Instagram and seeing all of these incredible weddings or micro weddings or backyard weddings. And I was A, a little jealous, and B, just thought, I think there's a story there about two women coming together who really have nothing in common. And it happens in most weddings. Like, just because your kids fall in love doesn't mean you have anything in common with those parents.
Yeah.
And it's just a weird way to form a family when you think about it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a fresh way to tell a story about a wedding.
Yeah. And I saw you wrote in the acknowledgments, I think, that you were kind of really inspired during COVID, right? Like those kind of micro weddings and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we were all just sitting at home scrolling, right?
Yeah.
And I did cook up this idea in 2021. I was putting together two book ideas for my editor at William Morrow. One was the book that came out last year, The Marriage Sabbatical, which is a look at a Gen X marriage. And then I was thinking, well, what else do I enjoy? It's sort of a companion piece, but it's not a series. They're totally different books. And weddings just were top of mind because there was that one weird period in 2021 when we thought it's over, the pandemic's over, and then the Delta variant came back and it wasn't over. Mm-hmm. But everybody I knew got married. Like even my friends got remarried that summer, and I thought, I've always loved weddings. I've always been fascinated by just the hoopla surrounding weddings, but also, what it means for our future. And so that's when I thought, okay, I think I'll pitch a wedding book.
Yeah. Well, so that was going to be a question, was when did you start writing this book? Because I'm always so interested in how long it can sometimes take from initial idea spark to writing to the revisions to actually getting to publishing. So what did that timeline look like for this book?
Well, it takes a while, as you know, if you've been doing this for a while, as you have. But so I pitched 2 books in the fall of 2021, and the editor bought both books. So it's a high class problem to have. It's great to know what your work life is going to look like for the next 3 or 4 years. So first I wrote the marriage spout. And then, so I pitched this book and I put it aside, like I put the 10-page pitch document aside. I didn't really think about it for another 18 months because I had to write the marriage sabbatical, and then that had to come out. And then last year, I was like, oh God, I got to write that other book. So I had to just refresh myself, like, what was the story again? Oh yeah, that's right. It's all coming back to me. Because you get so immersed in one narrative, it's hard to make the switch. So last year, it took me about 12 months to write this, start to finish, I would say, with maybe 14 months if I include all the edits and everything like that. But I got the bulk of the writing done in about 7 months, and then you go through the back and forth with the first round of notes from your editor and the second round of notes and then copywriting. But it took about seven months. But during that time, I was also touring with the marriage sabbatical. And so I was doing something I don't like to do, which is 2 things at once. Like, I like to either talk or write. I don't like to write and talk on the same day. So, but I would have to go to book tour stops and like spend the 6 hours in the morning writing the wedding book, and then go out at night and talk about the marriage book. So, but I got it done.
Well, so was there any big parts of the story that got changed during the writing process? Like,
there was. I realized. Here's the thing. Happens every time. I don't know why it surprises me every time. But when you put together a pitch document for your editor or a publishing house, it's about 10 pages, and you have to tell them the beginning, the middle, the end. You're doing paragraph outlines of the major characters and describing some of the minor characters. You're even including like signature scenes and dialogue in that pitch, right? So it feels like the book is done, really, after 10 pages. But then you go to write it and you're like, I need to add 300 more pages to this pitch. You're like, I need a little more story here. So, because initially I was just going to follow like the calendar of a wedding, like the engagement party, the wedding venue, the dress shopping. But I realized it's kind of tedious. I need more. And so that's where kind of the caper came in. That's sort of you have in the middle of this book and the turnaround with the 2 mothers needing to work together. Mm-hmm. Like, I knew there was going to be interaction, but I hadn't really figured out that major plot point. So it was only when I started in on this, I'm like, oh yes, actually something more has to happen for like 100 pages in the middle of this book. So that's, that was a pretty major change. And then what always happens to me is I will start to write side characters, and they're just so fun to write. And then they really come alive after a couple scenes. You're like, oh, give them a few more scenes. So I was happy that, there are love stories to be had throughout this book that are not necessarily the bride and groom. Yeah. And that happened a couple of times in this book, that I added more romance and more possibility for romance in the book.
Yeah, I especially loved the little side romance with Sarah. That was like my favorite one. I thought that was so cute.
I loved her as a character. She was so funny and fun to write. And I knew so many girls like that. I grew up in Connecticut, so it's dear to my heart. I live in California now, also dear to my heart. But I knew so many like preppy girls who wore like field hockey skirts 24/7. Like, I just could envision her 100% as I wrote her.
Yeah, so you're from Connecticut and now you live in California, so it probably felt pretty natural to write these characters, right? With Abigail being from Connecticut and Alexa from...
It did. It was, yes. I mean, I think now that this is my 6th novel that I've written, and I think I get better with every novel as a writer. You know, I learn my craft more. I know some tricks of the trade. I sort of understand the assignment a little bit better. So I do feel like the characters of Abigail and Alexa are they're fully realized characters. You know, in previous books I've had the mother character, older women. You know, that'd be 50 plus in the publishing world. You know, they've been enjoyable to write, but this time I had to write the whole book around these two characters. And so I really needed to understand who they were, their life experience. I usually do for main characters, I'll do a 2 or 3 page character sketch. So, you know, before I start writing them, I'll know where did they grow up? What did they like to eat as kids? You know, where did they go to college? Who were their first boyfriends? Like I have all that information down, so I give them like a fully realized life. And I think that's particularly important with older female characters, where so many you see in so much pop culture that's not necessarily written by women, just these really one-note older women characters. You know, it's like they had no personality or life before they became a mother, and now they're just grandmothers in a sweater. You know, so I mean, that sounds like a good life, being a grandmother in a sweater, but like most of the women I know have had more complicated lives than that. So I was able to kind of to put into Abigail, the person from Connecticut, the mom from Connecticut, you know, my own mother, a lot of the women I knew growing up, now my friends who still live back in my hometown, like I was able to sort of infuse a lot of Abigail with women like that. And then for Alexa, who lives in Montecito, I picked Montecito before the Duchess moved there, just for the record. So I wasn't trying to capitalize on the Duchess. I didn't know they were going to flee the country and move to Montecito, and I chose that. But it was because I do a lot of speaking at women's organizations and women's clubs here in Southern California, and I had been invited to this very lovely club in Montecito multiple times. And the women at this place just really, really impressed me. And I was like, there's a story here. Like these, I mean, first of all, the clothes, the fashion, the hair, the maintenance, unbelievable on all fronts, but also like fascinating, interesting lives and, you know, complicated family lives and stuff. I mean, they would share a lot with me at these luncheon tables afterwards. So I thought I have to do justice to this interesting group of women who live here in Montecito.
When you were writing the book, what were you kind of hoping for people to feel and think while they were reading?
Ooh, okay. This is deep. You know, 2 things. First, I mean, I love a wedding. I have been reading the wedding announcements in the New York Times since I was 7 years old. You know, it was like a family thing that we did together on Sunday mornings, reading about the weddings of people we did not know. And we enjoyed that. And that's my whole life. I still start every Sunday with reading the wedding announcements. So I wanted people to just remember kind of the purpose of weddings, and that's to join 2 people who love each other. It's not, but it's become this giant wedding industrial complex now, where every decision is monogrammed and programmed and Instagrammed, and it's such a production. And you know, we used to have sort of very simple rules for how weddings went, but now the rules are determined by social media and the aesthetic, and I just find it fascinating and also a little disturbing. You know, I feel a lot of pressure for brides. Like, I feel bad for them that they have so much pressure on them to not only create a day that's special and meaningful for 2 people and the families around them, but for all of the internet. You know, that just doesn't seem fair. So I wanted people to think about what is actually the meaning of a wedding ceremony. Like, what does that mean? It means love, a future. It means people coming together, families coming together. And for one day, you're just hoping and praying that everyone behaves themselves. You know, so I wanted, that was primary. And the other thing is, I feel like this is really a book about the importance of female friendships as we age. You know, that the fact that the mothers can come together, but also you meet this whole cast of character. Both women have support groups on either side, teams of friends and people that help pull this whole thing off. And that was hugely important to me, because I think there's this idea that we've made our friends in fourth grade and we never can make new friends again after that. I mean, that's great. If you still have your best friend from fourth grade, that's awesome. But there are many other ways to sort of reach out socially and connect socially. And at some point, I think, particularly as women age, the barriers to friendship that might have stood before in your 30s and 40s, when you're just filled with self-judgment and self-doubt, like by the time you're 50, 60, you don't care anymore, Sarah Ann. You've stopped caring.
Well, that's good to know.
Stop caring. That's what you have to look forward to. Like, the barriers to friendship kind of break down. And that's, and you're able to see people for their true selves, their authentic selves. And so that was the two messages that, weddings matter on a plane that's very deeply spiritual to me. And also that friendships matter.
I love that. So you said that you have adult sons.
Yes.
Right? And they're not married yet. So if and when that day comes, who do you think you'll identify more with, Abigail or Alexa?
Oh, this is a good question. Because I'm a touch of both. I definitely, being from Connecticut, there are things I really like done a certain way. Like, I like things in proper alignment. I like some protocols in place. But I also appreciate sort of the no rules aspect of California, where sort of an anything goes. Yeah. I like to think that I would, not to dodge your question, but I like to think that I would be able to thread that needle right down the middle. Impose a little bit of structure if called upon as the mother of the groom. Yeah. But also be open to whatever the young couple wants. I did learn. I really immersed myself in the wedding culture to write this book, which was super fun. Like, I can't tell you how many Instagram accounts I now follow that are wedding planners, or wedding etiquette people, and wedding dress designers. And then, I subscribe to all the newsletters from brides and Martha Stewart weddings and blah, blah, blah. And then just like as, wedding etiquette experts I dug deep on. And so I do feel like I'm poised and ready. But one of the things, the fact that really kind of shocked me and gave me pause as the mother of two boys, is that the mother of the groom is not officially in the wedding party. Really? The mother of the bride is. If we're going way back to wedding etiquette. So that's why the mother of the groom traditionally has been told to just wear beige and shut up. Right? That's the adage that my mother said 40 years ago when my siblings started getting married, and everyone repeats that. As the mother of the groom, you're just supposed to wear beige, stand back, and shut up. And but it's because you're not technically a member of the wedding.
That is so interesting. So I got married in 2017. Like, this joke that I was like a child bride because I got married when I was like 22. But like I didn't even realize that my mother-in-law was like technically not a part of the. Luckily, we get along really well. But if we didn't, I could be like, you don't.
Yes,
you're not part of this.
Yes, you could. And right there's a novel right there, Sarah. Right there. Like, that is what novelists do. Like, when that was like, wow, they're not really entitled to anything. They're not entitled to come to your dress fitting. They're not, they have no place in the pre-ceremony. Think about it. They're just walked down ahead of time before the wedding even starts by the head usher. Like, and the father, everybody else kind of gets a moment, but not the mother of the groom. So, so that, that I will be respectful of that tradition. I have zero expectations. That's what I'm going to try to keep it at that.
Well, so in reading the book, it was so clear to me that you like have been really immersing yourself in like all the trends and stuff like that, because there was even a couple that I had to look up, like the meadow cake, I think. I was like,
meadow.
What is that?
The cake meadow. The cake meadow.
Yes, the cake meadow.
It's the greatest.
Once I looked it up, I was like, oh, that's really cute. But I had never heard of that. And so, like, a lot of my friends are getting married. So, like, it was funny to read it and, like, kind of hear your take on, like, what a mother of the bride or mother of the groom would feel about these different trendy wedding things.
Right.
So what do you think is, like, the wildest modern wedding trend, in your opinion?
Well, I'll say this. There seems to be a tremendous amount of pressure on the bridal party to dance. You know what I mean? Like, they have to have these choreographed entrance dances, and like, you know, it's just, and all these Instagram videos prove that most 95% of them cannot really dance at all. So I'm like, why? Just let them walk into the wedding. Can't they just walk? I just don't understand, like, a lot of bad choreography and bad dancers in weddings. And but I think it also leads me to, like, my son and his girlfriend were at a wedding recently, and they said, oh, they did the bridal entrance 3 times for the videographer, like 3 takes. And like that takes you so out of the moment. It was a very, like, done for social media wedding.
Yeah.
But I think that has escalated this, like, wedding party dance choreography mandatory. It's just everything has to be a moment. So when I heard that, I was really fascinated by that. Like, that these things are all takes. So I wish the wedding party, if they choose to dance, that seems fine. If they don't want to, like, dance into the reception, you really shouldn't have to. I like the choreographed dances, though, for bride and grooms. I think that's good. A little nudge of choreography. I think that makes a lot of sense, because most people are not taught, like, formal dance. I would say that's probably the one I understand the least.
Yeah, and it kind of, I agree with what you're saying of, like, sometimes it just feels like it lacks a little bit of authenticity, you know, when it feels so done up and for the social media post and stuff like that.
Right.
So, do you have, like, a favorite, like, modern wedding trend then?
You know what? I love the modern wedding trend of the bridesmaids all wearing the dresses that they choose in a color that the bridesmaid choose.
Yeah.
That they don't all actually have to wear the same dress makes so much sense to me, because people have different bodies. So they're given sage green, or they're given colors of the rainbow, or they're given black, and they can pick the dress. That is a breakthrough in wedding trends. And it looks so beautiful in the photos, because the women are all in dresses they feel great in, not dresses they're stuffed into or forced to wear in a color that's unflattering. So I love that trend. I think it's beautiful, and I think it just makes total sense, and it just lets your bridal party be who they are in real life.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment, because I did do that in my wedding. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Lian.
I didn't even realize what a trap I was walking into. My dresses were all peach, and they look great.
Okay, so I'm going to do, like, a rapid fire of, like, some wedding trends. This first one you mentioned on your Instagram, which, by the way, if you're not following Lian on Instagram, she's a really fun follow. You were talking about donut walls. You like them or not?
I mean, who wants a donut at a wedding? No.
They're for cake.
Pizza wall. Give me a pizza wall or an onion ring wall.
The onion ring wall. Yeah, that I was like, I'm so into. Okay, when they make, like, a wedding, like, a whole weekend event, like, I've heard of some people doing, like, pickleball tournaments and, like, 5Ks, scavenger hunts, all the brunches, the teas.
You know what? It's a lot. And I think that's like planning people's vacations, and that gets to be so much work.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, the destination wedding, I understand it, but I see how much money my kids have spent going to these destination weddings. It's a lot on your guests. It's a lot on your guests. So if you're picking up the tab, by all means, like, play in the pickleball tournament, but it's a lot on your guests.
Yeah. Ice sculptures.
Oh, sure. I mean, sure. Great.
Yeah. Okay, what about really rigid dress codes for guests? Like, when they say, not just, like, black tie, but you have to wear a certain color.
Again, I think if you're having a very small wedding for close friends and you say, let's everyone wear white, sure. But making people go out and buy special things for your wedding, you have to know that people invited are going to resent that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, and again, I think that's where the aesthetic for Instagram actually takes over what the wedding is supposed to be about, which is people witnessing your pledge to each other. So, of course, they look gorgeous in the photos, so it's hard to say, oh, that seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We don't know how much the guests presented it. You know what I mean? In the background. Although, I will say, the caveat to that is, Halloween weddings, when people dress up, hilarious. Like, it's so fun. Star Wars wedding, sure. Lord of the Flies or Game of Thrones or whatever that thing is, great. I don't know what they have a wide allowance for, like, actual costumes, but, like, ombre or colors of the sunset. I don't know. Maybe people don't. Maybe they hate colors of the sunset. I don't know. So I would use it very sparingly.
I'm imagining a Lord of the Flies wedding.
I think, what's the other one in New Zealand? What's that one?
Lord of the Rings. Yeah. I knew what you meant. But now I'm imagining like a group of young boys, fighting and battling it out. Lord of the Flies. Okay,
I think we're onto something.
So you said you were married. How long have you been married for?
I've been married 32 years.
Okay, so throw it back. Aunt B in the book, she said we shouldn't use the term bridezilla, so I'm going to take her advice and use the term difficult bride. But do you remember being a difficult bride when you were planning your own wedding, or do you remember having like at least one really difficult moment?
I had one bad moment. It was actually at the wedding. So, yeah, like I just felt like the caterer I didn't have a wedding planner. Here's what happened, Saraann. My husband and I, we got engaged in 3 months. Like, we decided, sure, let's get married. And so after 3 months of dating, we got married. And we got married, like 6 months after that. I had to move to a different city. Wow. We didn't have a giant wedding planner. It wasn't a complicated wedding. I have a very large family, so mainly they were the guests. It was very DIY in a very simple way. But I wish I'd had a wedding planner because I was mad at the movement of the hors d'oeuvres at the wedding. And I remember going back into the kitchen like, why isn't anything being passed? And that was a bad moment. I will say that was a bad moment. But I didn't feel the pressure a lot of modern brides did. The whole thing just seemed so fun. It was so risky. I barely knew this guy.
Well, it clearly worked out.
It worked out.
32 years.
Could have gone the other way. I realized after our 1 year wedding anniversary, it was like, ooh, I got really lucky because this is really a lot being married. And if I didn't like this guy, that'd be bad. But I think that was definitely my worst moment. I will give myself a lot of credit. We divvied up the tasks, and my husband, who's in real estate, and lived here in Pasadena where we got married, he was in charge of getting a photographer. And great, check off the list. And so finally I said, like a week away from the wedding, he said, it's a guy I work with. And eventually I said, so wait a minute, he's a real estate photographer who's shooting the wedding? He said, he goes, oh, well, he normally does aerial photography. I was like, and he's shooting the wedding? It was too late to change. I'm like, okay. I mean, I envisioned like our whole wedding being shot from, 5,000 feet. But anyway, he did a fine job.
Oh, okay.
Wedding photography was different back then. It's much better now. It's much more, except there's a lot of it. Yeah. But it's much more informal now and things like that. We had a lot of pose photos, a few candids. We got 3 or 4 good shots out of it. So that's all we needed.
Yeah, there you go.
From the ground.
From the ground. No helicopter shots. No. Would you have been as trusting as Penny was and let your mom and mother-in-law plan your entire wedding?
Oh, no. Well, my mother, yes, but not my mother. My mom was good at this stuff. She thrived in this world. She did all my flowers. She dried hydrangeas. I got married in January, the day after the Rose Parade here in Pasadena. So I had a florist who did my bouquet and everything. But for the tables, my mother collected and dried all these beautiful hydrangeas and shipped them, and then had a whole group in her hotel room putting the wedding things together. Wow. The flowers. What we lucked into, we didn't realize, but the flowers at the church, they're still up for the holidays. So that our church had we didn't have to do the church at all, but so my mom was good at this stuff, and she just said both me and my sister just all white weddings. So okay, we didn't even fine. All the bridesmaids, the flower girls, everyone was in white. That's fine. We just she knew what she was doing. So She was good. She's good at this stuff.
That sounds so lovely. I love like an all white wedding in like the winter time. That sounds.
It is pretty. It is, and it's very simple. Yeah, and that's a flat, like a nice cream white. That looks good on there.
Yeah. Okay, so I know you probably couldn't share much if so, but are you working on anything right now that we can kind of keep our eyes out for?
I'm actually, so I've written 4 books in 5 years, and wow is right. So it was a very fertile creative period for me. So I am a little slow. I'm done with all my contract books and everything. So I am working on something. It's a little bit different for me. It's a little bit broader scope. So I'm going slowly with it. It's not sold yet. There's no update or anything. I'm just, is my agent listening? Because she's been bugging me for pages. So did she set this up? Is this why you're asking me? So,
but I will be expecting a copy when you get it finished and sold.
Okay. It's the story of a friendship, is what I would say. It's told over decades. So it's a little bit different for me. It has a touch of historical fiction in it, because I guess the 80s are history now. Is that correct? So I'm working on that. I'll have news soon.
Okay, cool. Well, Abigail and Alexa Save the Wedding. It comes out May 20th. I think this would be an excellent book for a book club for women, especially who have like grown children or maybe in that season of getting married, because it would be so highly relatable. But truthfully, I think it would be a really funny book too if like you're in a younger book club and like all of your friends are getting married, because it's such a funny kind of different perspective of being from the
Thank you.
Mother of the bride and the mother of the groom. Because it kind of pokes a lot of fun at like some of the modern wedding trends and stuff like that, and the headache of planning a wedding. Lian, thank you so much for joining me today. Is there anything else you want to plug or promote right now?
I am going to be in a lot of cities, so come see me. I love seeing people. My book tour starts on May 20th, and at liandolan.com you can find the events page. And so I'm going to be here in California, and then I'm going to be in Carmel, Indiana, and the Jersey Shore, and Newport, Rhode Island, New York City, Mystic, Connecticut. So a lot of events between mid-May and mid-June.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Lian. I really, really appreciate it. It was lovely talking with you.